give as much recommendations as you can. So without further ado, like we do it in the Arigato International family, we start with a moment of silent prayer. So I'd request you we start with that and then we proceed. Okay, thank you so much. I'll kindly like to call my panel on stage, please. I have Brian King. Give him a round of applause. So this is Brian. Brian King. Fun fact, Brian King. Can I tell them the fun fact about you?
If it's fun.
If it's fun. So Brian, about 2 years ago, was a child. So Brian was among the team who led an all-child-led forum called the African Children's Summit. And it was, can you imagine a forum? The way we are doing the sixth forum, this forum was child-conceived and child-led. The panelists, the moderators, everyone was a child, and they gave very wonderful outputs. So Brian, thank you for coming.
I'm glad to be here.
We are ready to hear from you.
Yes.
Thank you. I'll now go to Beryl. Beryl is a founder of Love to the Little organization. She's also the social media director for the Cry of a Young One, and she grew up in Mathare, where she developed a passion for community service. She's an advocate for ending child poverty, ending poverty, shame, and zero hunger. She's worked as a community organizer, contributing to several local projects. Thank you for joining us, Beryl. Thank you so much. Next, we have Harun. Harun, could you kindly join us, please? A round of applause for Harun. You can see him, he's here. Yes, please.
Thank you. You might be mine.
Thank you, Harun. Harun is the Executive Director and Chief Convener of the Network Grassroots Organization and Movements, which is under a collaborative approach consultancy. He works and aligns with SDG 16. Can someone tell me what's SDG 16? You can't not know it. Yes. Please, peace, justice, and strong institutions. So his work aligning to the SDG 16 aims to reduce violence, improve access to justice, and promote inclusive institutions. And also SDG 17. What's SDG 17? Partnerships for the goals, which emphasizes on partnerships. This is Harun. Thank you, Harun, for joining us. And welcome to our stage. The other panelist that I want to introduce you to is called Zonmira. Zonmira is online. She's joining us from Bosnia and Herzegovina in a city called Sarajevo. Zonmira, do we have you online? Zonmira, say hi to us.
Yes, I'm here. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Zonmira. Thank you so much for joining us. She's currently the Director of Foreign Policy Initiative, Bosnia and Herzegovina. She's also the coordinator for GNRC Youth and Children in Bosnia and Herzegovina, an associate of many international regional society organizations in Europe and around the world. She has 15 years of experience and gained additional education and expertise in the European Union, European Parliament, UNDP, OSCE, Arigato International, and other organizations. Thank you so much for joining us, Zonmira. We look forward to hearing from you. And the last panelist I'll be introducing is Mudassir. Mudassir is joining us from Pakistan, Islamabad. Mudassir? Hi, Mudassir. Thank you so much for joining us. Mudassir is passionate about children's rights and he's an activist based in Lahore. Sorry, I said Islamabad. He's in Lahore with a strong commitment to protecting children from violence, abuse, exploitation, and harmful practices. He's been actively working in this field since 2021 and currently holds the position of Program Officer at Search for Justice, which is currently the host organization for GNRC Pakistan. So welcome, Mudassir. It's a pleasure to have you here. Now that you've met my wonderful panel, I'd like to go back to what Felix had asked. How do you join the GNRC? If you are not a member yet, of which I think 3/4 of us here are members, how do you join the GNRC? It's easy. Go to our website, gnrc.net, then under Take Action, join membership. That's easy. It's as easy as that. And today, I have a message from the SG. He sent me to tell you this. He apologizes so much that he could not make it because of earlier engagements. He loves each and every one of you and looks forward to working collaboratively with all of you. He says, let us build a safe, secure, and sustainable world together as your voices matter. That was his message. No clap for him? Okay, thank you so much. So today our panel will look like this. We'll start with the question with two panelists, then I'll open the floor to you to ask questions to our diverse pool of panelists. Then we'll continue with the other ones and then the questions. We'll also have polls, which the ones online will do it in the chat, and you who are here, do it on your WhatsApp groups. So, my name is Halima Wanjiku. For those who don't know me, I'm the youth coordinator and I'm also the network support. With me is Mitalee. Mitalee, could you introduce yourself?
Hello everyone, I'm Mitalee. I am a student of politics and international relations at the University of Aberdeen, and I'm also an intern here at Arigato with the GNRC across all platforms. And I'm happy to be with you here today, and I'm happy to hear what you have to offer. It's going to be a very interesting panel, and look forward to it. I'd just like to now open with a one poll if you'd like to participate. It is, if you were to time travel 10 years into the future, what changes would you like to see in your community? So those on the Zoom, if you could now participate in the poll, it should be up in the chat. And those of you on the WhatsApp group, if you could just put your answers in the chat right now. Thank you very much. Over to you.
Thank you, Mitalee. As we do that, I'll start with a question to Harun. Harun, from your own lived experiences and working with youth from diverse cultural and religious backgrounds, how can you say the youth could leverage digital platforms to address structural causes of inequalities affecting children and youth? And how do we ensure that this sustainable practice is universally implemented? Welcome.
How many minutes?
2.
Oh my God. Thank you so much. Actually, I was kind of preparing a storytelling session, but now because it's 2 minutes, I will have to.
I can add you one if
Nilikuwa na Wakenya hapa, but let me put it.
If it's a good story, you get 1 more minute.
Sure. Kwa majina naitwa Harun Wadena Miesi. I'm from Kilifi County of Kenya, the coastal region. Already when you hear the coastal region, kuna that kind of assumption. Coastal people are lazy, coastal people are uneducated, so we don't deserve the national cake. That's what I experienced from my journey. So my journey started back all the way from 2017 after I was denied some opportunities, bursary by my MCA to join university because my uncles, I have uncle doctor, another uncle who is also a kind of a police and bankers. So I was like, you don't qualify to get this opportunity. But from our Mijikenda culture, we have this way whereby we don't, I cannot support your kids and I have my own problem. But no one saw that part of it. So because of that, online, there's something known as YALI, Young African Leadership Initiative. They offer free courses to everyone. So I just joined YALI to do those courses because I need a lot of knowledge. My colleagues are in university, partying, enjoying, and then even I'm like, no, I should find a way to fight this kind of systemic inequality and to address these issues. And it's because of YALI learning from those causes. That's why I had to form my community-based organization. So, to cut the long story short, as young people, how can you leverage digital platforms? I'm the product of the digital platform. Through my organization known as Kabiribe Lamukan Youth Forum, I use to share what I'm doing online. That's Facebook and Twitter. And just because of that, my first engagement, I was rejected. And let me be open with this. I was rejected with every NGO from the coastal region. It's only one NGO. They were like, let's give this guy a chance. That's a human rights agenda. Through human rights agenda, I met with a guy, person with a disability known as a Buddy. And it's through Buddy, I was connected to Arigato International. That's around 2017 to 2018. And through regional peace program, we used to meet annually, and I used to be so proactive online. And that's where kind of a social media algorithm kind of favored me and gave me a lot of spaces. See? So as young people, what we need to know first thing first, it's what can you offer? I usually use 3 things. 1, tools. 2, platforms. 3, resources. Tools, it's all about knowledge you're gaining, something you're learning. What are you bringing on board? Then platform, it's more of this kind of platform to amplify your voices. The resources is not about money. Sometimes when we approach partners, we think about being given money, but think about relationship-based fundraising. A good example, I've been engaging with Arigato International up to 2020. In 2020, I told Nyambura, hey Nyambura, it was Nyambura and Arch at that time. Hey Nyambura, you've been training me for the last 2-3 years. Why do you want me to keep coming to this event as a participant? Why not as a facilitator, as a moderator? They're like, oh, wow. I remember my colleague here, my senior, was like, young people, have you been asking yourself, where do donors get money? And he gave me that challenge, and I was like, now, let me go back to my drawing table. And that's where I was like, I won't attend any event again as a participant. I should be given. Why was I doing that? I was trying to say that now you've built my capacity, please give me space to engage. But remember, no one will give you these opportunities. You must fight for them. And they must show that value on you. And just because of that, from 2021, I've been purely making my living online. And I've been purely earning online because I cannot apply for any job opportunities. I don't have a degree. And it's a must in Kenya to have a degree to get this opportunity. But surprisingly, all my clients are from abroad. So what do these guys from Global North sing on me, but my fellow Africans don't give the opportunity? That's something we need to ask ourselves as young people. Do I have extra time? 30 seconds. You see? So I'm trying to use my own story to give you guys the know-how of how to do things. And lastly, one of the most important things as young people, we need to prepare ourselves is that the moment you gain that fame, that's now the perfect moment to maintain low-key. Because people will attack you, especially the political leaders. As we are talking at this space, this is my second opportunity for this year to speak with young people. I'm not being given opportunity with anyone because the government, they know that the moment you invite Harun, this guy will just kind of talk some things, will expose these young people, and most of our political leaders don't want us to be exposed so that they can keep. And you get that concept? Yeah. So I'm giving you guys this clue to just challenge you to move from your comfort zone. And I'm sorry, I'm not used to wear suits. This suit I bought it on 1st November when King Charles was in Kenya. So I was the only young person nominated by British High Commissioner to meet with King Charles from the coastal region. So I was like, let me go surprise my fellow colleagues. I'm just used to wear like you guys, but today I was like, let me be a little bit different. Thank you.
Thank you, Harun, and thank you for sharing with us. The 2 things I picked from you, 1 is use the online platforms to build your skills, and 2, use the online platforms to share your work and advocate for your spaces and make sure that you are included and your voice is heard as much as possible. Thank Thank you, Harun, for joining. I'll now give to Mitalee.
Thank you for that. Truly inspiring because it talks about exactly why we should use our platforms and exactly how useful they can be, especially now. Thank you. I'd like to now shift our attention to Beryl. As a young advocate and someone that's grown up in Nadare, what changes would you like to see in your community in terms of addressing the biggest challenges that they face? That means young people and children today. And how would you go about making them feel safer in those communities?
Hi everyone again. My name is Beryl. Bear with me. I'm kind of tensed. Anyway, yeah. So to answer your question, what changes would I like to see? First of all, is enhanced mental health support. Since most of us are youth here, we can all agree that mental health issues have been on the rise, right? So due to the sudden rise of mental health issues, it is advisable to implement more counseling services and mental health programs in schools and within our community to address issues like anxiety, depression, and stress. For example, the community that I was brought up in, Madare, it's very rare to find, a mental health program or a mental health, how can I put it? A mental health program where people can actually talk about things like anxiety and depression. So when it is implemented, it will help us to, have a more safer environment for them. Secondly, increase access to extracurricular activities, that includes after school programs, sports and art opportunities to engage young people in positive activities and reduce idle time. Since most of us, I believe some of us don't come to places where places where the young people are fighting, and places like Madare, Dandora, theft is on the rise. Young people, most of the thieves that you find there are like very, very young people, you get. So when these people are actually engaged in programs like the after school programs or after curricular activities, they can actually use their time wisely and help them become better people. Substance abuse prevention, which means that we should implement awareness through educational programs and resources to educate students about the risks of substance abuse and actually provide support for those who are affected. And lastly, we should offer online safety education by providing resources and education on safe internet practices and cyberbullying prevention to help students and the young people navigate the digital world safely. Because honestly, right now, since we're young, most of our business is on social media, right? If you actually want to find something about someone, you can just, find the social media handles and you can find everything you want to know about them. So when you educate the young people on how to actually have navigate the digital world safely, then it will be a more safer space for them. Thank you.
That's quite true. Honestly, when we talk about online spaces, something that's not mentioned enough, as you said, is mental health. But on top of what you said, I'd just like to ask about digital pathways. How could we, especially supporting those in underprivileged communities, how can we use those spaces to promote what we call encouraging learning about these spaces? How would you feel is the best approach? Yeah, sorry. How would you feel is the best approach in terms of helping underprivileged communities engage in those safe spaces and be a part of them?
From the underprivileged communities, I feel like since therapy is very expensive, we should actually create, the digital apps. There are some apps that developed which can actually help them to navigate through their safe spaces and depression, anxiety, and stuff like that. So it's actually easier for them to get help from the comfort of their home.
Thank you so much. I'd like to hand over to Halima.
Thank you, Mitalee. Thank you, Harun. Thank you, Beryl, for those wonderful insights. I'd like to open the floor to questions. If you have any questions to Harun or Beryl. Any questions?
Yeah, hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Hi.
Yeah, this is Marvin from Liberia.
Hi, Marvin. Welcome.
Okay, we're following, but it's unfortunate that we're not really going through looking at this same digital technology we're talking about. But we have our youth here all represented, and we have a heavy rain here that causing internet break-in. But however, one of the youth wants to ask a question or make a comment on Liberia. Hello?
Yes, please. He can share or she can share.
Okay.
Okay, I'm Eileen calling from Liberia, and I have a question. And my question goes like this: how can you be guided on how to use, digital materials in our society? Because we notice that some people are using it for negative reasons. We notice that some people are using it for negative reasons, and it has some positive and negative impact. So I want to know how youth can be guided on how to work within the digital environment.
Thank you so much. I'll invite Harun to answer that question.
Thank you so much, my colleagues from Liberia. So just to respond to this question directly, how can young people utilize the digital platforms for their own goods, either to access opportunities or to kind of position yourself? First thing first, you need to get the relevant tools. Tools in terms of skills. We are in a world where this is the generation with every kind of information. Wherever we need it, it's purely online. And one of the biggest advantage we have, ChatGPT, the most recent, whereby you can ask any kind of question. So my suggestion is, one, get the relevant tools, the know-how about personal branding. It all starts by knowing the personal branding, understanding your values, and what you can offer. Sometimes you really need to contribute, but you don't know what to do. You see, attend these kind of forums, workshop, document them, and share it out. During my early beginnings, I just used to receive concept notes from Kefe, and I will just copy paste it and post it. You see, for me, it was more of a positioning myself at the moment. Once you position yourself, next thing you need to understand these different kind of social media. We have X, formerly Twitter. We have LinkedIn. We have Facebook. We have Instagram. We have TikTok. Why are you using that Facebook? And what message would you like to share? That means you need to know your audience. Example, I have 10 years within the youth leadership. First 5 years, I was purely at a grassroots level. Kilifi County, Mashinani, Shakahola. And my target was purely, I used to be so active in Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Why? Because that's where majority of young people are there. And I was just doing this as an influencer, educating my fellow young people, showing that I'm doing amazing work. The next 5 years, after I left the grassroots level, due to some political issues, I joined the national, regional, and global level. I shifted from those platforms. Now I'm more active LinkedIn. By the way, that's my office. Why? Because now my target audience, it's more of the policymakers, decision makers, Kina Nyambura. You see? So knowing your audience matters a lot. Lastly, the most important thing you need to understand about your culture. Africa, we have our own unique culture, whereby as a young person, as a young leader, you're not allowed to share your authentic deep stories. You're not allowed to share what you are doing. All these things should be your secret. That's our culture. So you need to know what to share and what to share, and what not to share. That's now it's called a kind of over communication. Kuna term yake, I forgot about it. You see? So yeah, oversharing. So our culture. For me, I'm sorry to say this, but I have fully adopted the global North culture where it's all about sharing. But by doing that, I've seen it all. People will cyberbully you. People will attack you because they're just jealous of what you are doing. Then one of the most important things, consistency is the only thing if you really need to earn or make a living or being noticed in social media. Maintain consistency, communicate what you are doing, don't care who is watching you. By doing that, algorithm will favor you and kind of push your post. And that's where people like Arigato will invite you. To end my conversation, as we are talking, I'm serving as a youth, gender, and the marginalized group supporting person and the MasterCard Foundation Alumni Network Committee. How did I join that committee? It's purely online. Guys were just like kind of, hey, Harun, you're doing amazing work. They shared with me link. I just applied. I was like, let me apply this like a normal opportunity. And that's how I was accepted. No godfather, no connections, no political anything. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We got one more question from one of the youth here from Monrovia, Liberia. But I just want to suggest that after the meeting, can we have a documentary or document to the entire meeting? So, because we're having network connectivity issue here.
Yes, we will share that after the meeting.
Thank you so much. One more question from Liberia.
Hello, I'm Impio Bradway. I'm from Liberia. I have a question. How can the youth contribute to the promotion of youth education in Liberia? Because here we are really going through a very tough time getting exposed to the digital world. So how can we be optimistic that you people can help us out? Because right now we are facing a tough time with the internet. It's not really going through. That's why we are asking you to send these documents into our emails. Yes, I'm done.
You're done. Thank you so much. To get the context of Liberia, we would appreciate if you could give your solutions that you want to see based on the context and the challenges affecting Liberia. What's that solution that you'd want to see? Kindly share with us in the group chat, and maybe we'll delve into that at the end of this session so that you can get the context of Liberia, if that's okay with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before I call the next panelist, Beryl, you had something to share?
I wanted to add on the question. I think I got, from the question I got, she was asking how can we help the youth because they are using the social media negatively. I think it's through education by podcasts. Right now, how to access the youth, I mean, through the podcast and the YouTube channels, we can create awareness to help them navigate the social medias and how to actually help them manage the cyberbullying. Because in as much as we're using these social media handles, we actually have to sit down and ask ourselves, how can we access the youth, or what are they using that we can actually access them easily? So for me, it is by creating awareness through the channels, the YouTube channels. A lot of us have created YouTube channels. Right now, I can see the young people are having conversations through the podcast and the meetings like this, by the way. We can actually invite the youth and actually teach them how to use the social medias in a good way, in a way that will not affect them. Because in as much as we're putting our information out there and actually sharing our lives out there, we have to be very careful because right now, cyberbullying, one day you can post a picture of yourself, the next day someone is telling you how your knees are knocking, and you actually start having insecurities about yourself, right? So if we're not educating these people about how to use this social media as well, and actually how to manage the cyberbullying, you know. So things like depression, things like anxiety, yeah, we should use things that can actually help the youth access it more easier. Thank you.
Thank you, Beryl. Maybe our next session should be on how to navigate the social world on around cyberbullying. And that will be a great session. And I'd invite everyone here to join that session and let's share more. Let's bring in actors who are experts in that field to come and help us find solutions to that. So,
the question
yes.
for the previous session.
And my question is how do we counter the challenge of mis and disinformation at this age? Because as much as we are leveraging social media, there are people who have deliberately chosen to misinform the public with their large influence about critical issues like climate change and other issues like promoting negative misconceptions and myths about issues. Like, for example, the cyberbullying issue and the deliberate spread of misinformation. And also, not only deliberate, some information online is curated to look like actual. So that you see a verified account sharing fake information. So how do we counter that? And how do we intensify our efforts to reach more people so that they are more cautious with what they share? Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Misinformation and disinformation. I'll start by sharing this. It all starts with you. Let me give example. During the previous general election, as we are coming to this place, I was talking with Felix, and I told him that I remember before the previous election, I was to be given a contract by some of the political leaders to kind of recruit young people. I was to be awarded 1 million to recruit young people, and we spread this kind of misinformation and kind of a political propaganda online, targeting some few political parties. But I said no. That time I was purely broke with nothing. I remember nilikuwa na rent around, I used to pay, I had a rent arrears of around 30K at that time, and I said no to that 1 million. So my message to you as young people, before you click post, think about it. Will you harm someone? Or think about your future, because the moment you post that post, that's it. Let me end with this quote. Social media is one of the most powerful weapons. It can either make you be a successful person in this world and be recognized everywhere, or it can permanently destroy you. I have been cyberbullied, and whoever bullying me, I usually have my own documents. I document every negative thing, I must document it. And any person who will bully me, I will document you. And just pray we won't meet in this kind of spaces. I won't slap you, but the organizer will have to make a decision. It's either that person remain or I remain. See, so it all starts with you, and that's brings the issue of know-how, knowledge, and getting this knowledge. You can just check YouTube. Kuna a lot of context of how you can be a responsible leader. That's what I would like to share this moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Harun, for those wonderful insights. Before you click, think, yeah?
Yes.
Thank you. I'll now move to our online panelists. Zonmira, what do you believe are the most effective ways to build resilience among young people in the face of conflict and crisis? Based on your own lived experience living in Bosnia and Herzegovina and the historical and political divide in Bosnia and Herzegovina, what are the most effective ways to build resilience among young people in the face of conflict and crisis?
Thank you very much, Halima. First of all, in one part of my life, lived in African continent for 6 months. So I will just say one sentence that I can remember from Swahili. Said siku njema wapenda Rihanna nchini Kenya. And I'm very grateful to you, all of you, that you invited me and that I'm having right now the opportunity to share my experience. I'm very happy that right now we can speak about the security, safety, and also about the conflicts. I hope that you all of you know where is Bosnia and Herzegovina, so that's one small country in Europe. And in Bosnia and Herzegovina, we are having a problem because we are having 3 different nationalities living in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and among them, 20 years ago, we got a war, so a lot of children and a lot of youth and their parents were affected of the war. So we are having a different kind of prejudices and stereotypes and different kind of discrimination in Bosnia and Herzegovina. So in my 10 years experience working in Bosnia and Herzegovina, I can share that the best ways of building resilience between among people is first of all emotional awareness and expressions, because we have to be aware that we have to share the emotions and our experiences with different people when we are first of all speaking with them, because if we are understanding each other and if we are having some kind of empathy among each other, we have a chance to build up the harmony and peace among all of us beside the conflicts. So also what is very important is that we are having a different kind of skills. For example, problem solving skills, also negotiating skills, because with those 2 skills we can encourage people to have a more impact, especially on the youth and children when we are speaking about the conflicts and resolving of that kind of conflicts. And also what is one good technique when we are speaking about the problem solving skills is that a role playing, for example, simulations, that you are organizing some kind of workshops where you can play a role playing and simulation, just in that case that you have a chance to develop a critical thinking and adapting in a different kind of challenges of different students. Also, what our colleagues mentioned in the first part of this panel is education on conflict resolutions. So in that kind of education, we can teach students to build a different kind of strategies for resolving conflicts. Or, for example, negotiations, also active listening, because active listening is the main point and a crucial point in one conversation. And also the most important thing, I think, is a community engagement, because alone you cannot do big things. Only together with small steps we can change things. I was a part of the forum of a gender support forum in Tanzania, and the main sentence that we use is act, inspire, and change. But we can change only together. So community engagement is very important, and also what is I think the crucial point also is encouraging growth mindsets, because we have to promote the idea of the youth that the challenges can lead us to grow. Only challenges can lead us to grow, and if we are aware of your skills, as I mentioned, aware of your community, together we can change and lead to the our growth of our mindset and a different kind of idea. And I think when we are speaking about the security and safety and also that kind of a conflict, first of all, we should include a psychologist and in our work, because they are professionalists who can also help us to deal with our emotions. Because when we are speaking about the conflicts, I think the most important thing is our identity. Because if someone is hurting your identity, every part of your identity, we are very sensitive, and with our emotions, we cannot just think with our mind and without the emotions. So emotions, that the courage, and also that kind of mental health is very important when we are speaking about resilience about the among the young people.
Thank you, Zanmira, for sharing on that. Thank you. Do we have a question for Zanmira? Any questions? Yes, we have one here, Zanmira.
Maybe, thank you so much for the wonderful presentation. I'll be interested in knowing something about your country. What are some of the unique events that set your country apart? Because in your introduction, I heard that there is something unique about your country. We would be interested in knowing such a thing. Thank you.
Zanmira, did you get that question?
Yeah, so the question was about the Bosnia and Herzegovina, as I can
Yes.
hear. Is that correct? Okay, so
What's
thank you
unique
for asking.
about Bosnia and Herzegovina? In your introduction, you mentioned something unique, and it was you have 3 different nationalities within Bosnia and Herzegovina. Could you expound on that?
Yes. Before 20 years, 25 years in a Balkan region in Europe, we got a war between the different kind of nationalities. And in Bosnia and Herzegovina, we are having 3 nationalities: Bosniak, Serbs, and Croatian. And all of them, they are having a different kind of languages and different kind of cultures. And what is very interesting that our country has 3 presidents, because every ethnic group has own president. So when we are just in a diplomatic way with these kind of countries, the all 3 presidents are visiting it. So that is a problem in Bosnia and Herzegovina, because a lot of youth and children are separated in that ethnic group, and children are not aware of that cultural background of the war, and also they want to communicate with each other, and also as well as youth want to communicate with each other, but their parents don't allow them to speak with each other because of that war period, because every ethnical group hurts every ethnical group in Bosnia and Herzegovina. For example, we are having a problem with a mixture of cultural marriages. For example, girls from a Croatian want to marry with a Bosniak, and that is not allowed in their cultural communities. And they are facing with a different kind of a context, as well as we are in our work of a journalists in Bosnia and Herzegovina are facing that kind of conflicts and discriminations, that they want to speak with each other. For example, we are organizing different kind of workshops when we are collecting all those children and youth from a different ethnical groups, and when they are together, they are speaking with each other. But when they come home and speak with their parents, again, they are separated. But after 10 years working in Bosnia and Herzegovina in a branch of a University International, we succeed in 3 cities in Bosnia and Herzegovina that we are collecting parents and children that they are communicating with each other, and they are building a safer and peaceful communities in Bosnia and Herzegovina. So that is one positive thing. And I hope that I am aware also that in Africa that is happening in many countries and around the world, that cultural mixing and stereotypes and conflicts, and it is a very important as a youth to have a power and to have a strength. But first you have to have a skills to change your communities, and I think that Halima International and GNRC and also civil society organization can give you that knowledge and strength and skills, that first of all you can be heard. So that is a problem when you are speaking with adults. They are hearing, but they don't want to hear you. That is very crucial point. But when we are speaking with adults, you have to be heard. And I'm very thankful to the GNRC that they're organizing this kind of event, especially for your youth, especially Halima. I'm very thankful to you that you're organizing this kind of event. Encourage the Secretariat to help you to build a great community for our youth and opportunities. And I think this event today is very important to you, and this is a chance to you to raise your voice and that your voice can be heard. Just use this opportunity to connect with each other and also to connect with us, that we can share our ideas, share our positiveness and our practical examples, positive examples in a practice, so that we can build up different and a better world first for youth. Because remember, youth are present, they are not the future, we are right now, you are present and you have to act right now.
Thank you so much for sharing, Samira. It's wonderful that the youth in Bosnia and Herzegovina are also active in changing, much as we have here in Kenya with the Gen Z. So, Mitalee.
Thank you, Halima. I would like to now move to Mudassar, if you're with us still. So as someone who actively conducts awareness sessions, workshops, and community engagements on issues regarding online safety, and among other critical issues relating to children, how, if at all, should we encourage more youth participation and engagement on these platforms in a safe way?
Hi everyone, how are you?
Good, thanks. Hello.
Do you know? Right.
Welcome.
Youth can contribute to end violence against the children and mitigate the impact of violence through the digital platforms by raising the awareness, bringing the reforms in existing laws, and bringing the some change in the policies, existing policies, and supporting the victims. And the most important of thing is and to support the victims, and promote the peace building initiatives. On the other hand, we can use the social media as in a positive sense. We can write the vlogs and online campaigns. So it can help to amplify their voices and connect with the global movements. So the last and important thing is to educate our being a community member, educate our colleagues, educate our family members, and educate our siblings, parents, and the other social friends about the importance of the child protection and the conflict resolution. So we can create build a peaceful environment for everyone. We have to give the freedom of speech to everyone to speak out their views and narrations regarding their thoughts. And if we have some conflict regarding their thoughts, we can communicate this politely. And through we should not to abuse if other person is not understanding our point, or is not agree with our points. So these are the major things required we can use throughout the safe circle, especially to raising the awareness. So, if any questions?
Thank you, Mudassar. Any questions for him before we proceed?
Yeah,
Yeah, please go ahead.
I'm Joseph Kirobe from Liberia. And then this is my question. How can the youth have knowledge on the importance of digital work in the absence of knowledge and equipment? Because for our country, Liberia, we observe that we have a limited percentage of people who have access to equipment, therefore a limited percentage of people who have access to the knowledge. In that, we have an illiterate environment when it comes to the digital world. Based upon that, we observe that we are struggling to be over our game. So how can you guys help in the process that we will improve ourselves, our surrounding, our schools, that we too will be over our game when it comes to digital world?
I think. Thank you. Thank you so much for your question. The question is how can youth with the limited access to the digital world still leverage and then maximize the opportunity in the digital world, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Firstly, I think you must have to understand what are the purpose of using your digital media, right? If you are using your digital media for just for your social network, right? But if you have limited access to the digital world, you can use your messages as social activities. For example, you can do some social experiments. So throughout your video, you can convey your message to the digital world. So I think you have to use your knowledge in a smart way, so you can get the digital access.
Thank you,
Sorry,
Madam.
I also have to jump on this question. I think that I understood correctly. So they are asking if they are not able to get a digital world, to get a social networks, or to get a technology, because for example, because of this poverty and not having a money to buy the technology, and also to be faced with the technologies and a digital world. I think that the most important thing in that way is, for example, to use a mentorship program, that you can take your mentor that can mentor to you to have a different kind of a skills, that also what Asar also mentioned. Just first of all, that kind of a mentorship, and with that kind, when you are getting a skills from your mentors, you can organize some kind of activities that your mentor can promote through the digital world, just to get your money, and then also the opportunities to get that technologies, and that in that case you will be a part of a digital world. And also that Monserrat, and I support you, Monserrat, in your thinking and expressing that, for example, they can share a videos or their messages on these digital platforms. But I think that is crucial that, for example, as we as Algato International University can arrange that kind of a mentorship programs, that mentors are coming from a digital world, and also can help them with their skills, and then organize togetherness activities to get you in a digital world. Sorry for interrupting.
Thank you, Zamira, and it's wonderful that you interrupted because you answered that well. And also the other way that they're combating is using one device when all of them are there, so that's being resourceful in how they're approaching that. So that's good as well. So I'll go to the next question, which is to Brian King. As the Assistant Child Participation Manager with Mtoto News, a digital media platform whose mission is to make children visible, what would you say is the most pressing issues and threats that need to be addressed concerning children and the youth in the digital space?
Thank you, Halima. Before I even get to your question, I think it's important, like just listening to my previous panel, to the previous speaker, and the conversation that has been going on. It's important for all of you to realize that this is a conversation, okay? Talk to your neighbor, my guy. I'm telling you, you need money, they have it. You need access, they have it. Like amongst us in this room, if we want, we can like leverage a network of like CSOs, not just in Kenya, but from all across the globe. So it's all about networking and jumping into the networks that are next to you. Do not stay alone. That is the reality. You want to grow? Partner up. Okay? Now to Halima's question, what are some of the emerging issues? So I was thinking about this question yesterday and even today as I was coming. And I was like, should we talk about child sexual exploitation and abuse? Or even like privacy issues, or revenge porn, because these are things we've been hearing. Or should we talk about data? Okay, the value of data. This is something we don't usually talk about. How data is misused, how data is obtained. These are things we don't like to talk about. Do you realize that a 16-year-old right now? No, let's talk about a 13-year-old, because children are getting into social media when they're 13. A 13-year-old right now wants to join Instagram. Okay, if Instagram says we need you to share your mother's ID number, your mother's passport number, your mother's account number, do you know they'll give it? Because if they don't, what happens? They don't get access to the platform. Yeah, these are conversations we're not talking about. Whenever we want to talk about like emerging issues in like in the digital space, they usually take us all the way to like the extreme negatives. What about those basic ones that lead to those extreme negatives? We are being held hostage by these big corporations. I've been a panelist in like several meta events, and like every time I go there, I usually ask, in your privacy policy, in your community guidelines, in your requirements, bro, who do you consult? Okay, even you as youth, you're being told go online, make money. What are those platforms? What do they need from you, and what do they do with that data? It's not a matter of protecting you, and that is the reality. Your data is being used to market it, so they're selling your data. That is how you end up like getting recommended good stuff. That's how in later on in future, oh my God, I've been registered in weird platforms because this data is stored somewhere. There are people who know how to misuse this. So if you ask me, this is the biggest emerging issue. We, as Africans, I've interacted with like several mothers, and they all keep telling me, mtoto wangu before 55 years old hatastaki onekane nje. Umeona? There's that thing, and as much as it's based in what is it called, superstition, there is some reality to that. There's some importance to privacy, not just for children, but even for you guys as youths. What are you putting out there? We've talked about digital footprint. Yeah, what is your digital footprint? It's simply data that you put out there that's stored permanently. Do you realize that? Nyi wenye mnaogopa tattoos, I'm one of you guys. Posting a photo on IG is a tattoo. Do you realize that? It's not going away ever. That is the reality. If you ask me, we can talk about child sexual exploitation, okay, and abuse, and we can also talk about how children are now facilitating it themselves because of us as youths. We have our smaller brothers and sisters, but we know what we're posting. Our accounts they're not blocked from them. If I'm posting something that I know would be inappropriate for like a 16-year-old, and I let them like me for the sake of the likes, what do you think they're gonna do? Okay, I mean, we are all adults here, and that's fine. Whatever you do with your life, that's okay. But what about your 14-year-old brother and sister? What happens when they go back to school and they're bullied? What happens when they don't get access to an opportunity in the model UN because of something they posted because they saw you do that? It's all about data. I want to talk about data, and we need to start that conversation. If you ask me, Halima, that is the biggest emerging issue: being held hostage, our data being taken without us wanting. Remember that what was it? Something called where you have to like scan your eyes and it was like you get 7,000 shillings. So you want to tell me your biometric data is only worth 7,000 shillings? That's a real question. How much is our data worth? That's a genuine question we need to ask. Okay. So if you ask me, the biggest issue right now in digital child protection, in digital youth safety, is data and data protection. Okay, and even data consumption, but that's a whole other conversation. Yes, Halima.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for sharing that, and that's quite a unique perspective. And in the forum, we'll be bringing together leaders from diverse faith, spiritual traditions, representatives from different government and intergovernmental bodies. We'll also include the people from like Meta, the ones who own the data, the one that store the data. When we call them, we want them to call them to accountability of what are you doing in that data. So in regard to that, what recommendation would you say, using those evolving platforms, how can we tap into that and promote a safe and secure world for both the youth and the children?
I have a couple of recommendations here. But let's talk about something I forgot, Halima. Just an extra minute. It's called influencer syndrome. I want to call it that. We all realize that everyone wants to become an influencer, yeah? And it makes sense. I mean, right now, to be honest, if you want to like earn money, if you want to do anything substantial, if you even want to reach young people, you have to be an influencer. But what does this actually mean? You do realize that some people who right now are not going to school, right now are not doing anything else, they've committed their life, their rent, their spiritual energy completely to what? Becoming influencers. We realize that is not healthy, guys. We don't want to talk about it. It's not, what are you even influencing? And it's a valid question, I'm telling you guys, because if you say you have 5,000 followers and call yourself an influencer, who are these 5,000 people and how are you influencing them? Influencing, it is a syndrome. Everyone wants to do it, and no one is doing it right, guys. We need to be able to substantiate that. We need to be able to make young people realize if you want to influence something, it has to be something that you yourself are good at, something that is building value. That is a syndrome we also need to talk about, and it's an emerging issue. We're having 13-year-olds wanting to drop out of school right now so they can be famous, and also doing some outright nasty stuff just to get out there. You realize, and it's not just young people, it's not just children, it's actually adults, 24-year-olds, 25-year-olds, doing some very weird stuff to get attention. Are we that attention deprived? You know, that is a good question. Bro, we need to be able to stay away from this kind of stuff, man. It's just not healthy. Yeah? Now for my recommendations. So I am a storyteller myself. Me, Omar, Ahmed, Eric, Vanessa there, you know, we're all storytellers. And we work for different organizations actually. And our jobs are usually to like build content on like child participation and youth participation. But what I've realized, Halima, is that we are so rigid. You know, if you work for an NGO, then you understand what a strategic plan is. You understand that once it's set in stone, that's it for the next 5 years. But you realize how obsolete that is. Because if I'm forced to create content specifically and rigidly on this particular matter in this particular way, it's gonna get boring real fast. Like just today, I'm pretty sure you've had like 5 trending things that have already passed. We're waiting for new ones. Yeah, so we need to be able, as content creators, okay, as storytellers, we need to be adaptive in the way we handle our stuff, in the way we communicate to other young people. We need to be able to change and jump on the trends in a healthy way. Note that, in a healthy way. Okay, let's learn to adapt. Okay, if there's something new that's coming up, let's find a way to tie that to child participation, to youth participation, to decent work and economic growth. How can we do that? And do that in a way that's gonna get attention, in a way that's gonna build capacity. All right. Something else is making safe spaces fun and exciting for. Let's talk about teenagers. I work with children, guys. I'm 19 years old. I just became a youth like 2 years ago, as Halima said. And we've all talked about platforms and how we're not getting access to them, how bad and sad that is, and it is sad and bad. But are we just gonna sit and cry all day long? You know, Halima introduced me as a guy who, like, with a group of children, created the Africa Children's Summit. What was that? Just like Harun here. When I was a kid, now I was not denied because of education, because of race, just because I was a kid. Like, there's nothing I can do about that. You realize that? We did not have access to platforms. We were trying to get them. We don't have capacity. We don't have frameworks, our standing orders. Bro, we got like a bunch of excuses. So what did we do? We created our own platform. The biggest child-led platform, I'm telling you, that is a big thing. Because right now, as we're speaking, the second version of that platform is happening. Like a pre-summit is happening in Zambia. You realize that? Like, we did it in Kenya, they're doing it in Zambia, other children are going to be doing it in South Africa. Like, it's happening all across Africa. It's all about that. Building your own platforms, come together as networks and decide, what can we do? We can do this. If they denied us this platform as the UN, you know what? Let's create our own. What's stopping you? They also just came together. Yeah? So all you have to do is just kujeni pamoja manzi. We're all powerful in our own way. We're all smart in our own way. Let's use our capacities to like influence that. And let's make positive spaces fun. Sasa, the main reason we're not getting young people interested in positive spaces is because positive is boring. Positive is not interesting. Yeah? It's not. It's not. Most of us have our official accounts and our spam accounts. Why? Because we all know in the positive accounts, we have to be these boring people. In the spam accounts, we can be whatever we want. I was talking to a good friend of mine, one of the most, I want to say astute, but I don't think it's the right one. But this is like Harun right now. He's always in a suit, whatever. This man name has a spam account and he's talking about weird stuff, you get? As in they have their own other side that's fun. Why can't we like find a way to match that? Reduce the rigidity. Halima, Tracy, where is Michael? You guys, let's cut down on the bureaucracy so that these spaces can be more inclusive, fun, easier for young people to be part of them. All right? Yes, I feel like that is all I wanted to contribute to that particular topic.
Thank you. And Humphrey is here, he's listening on not being rigid on the strategic plan. I'll invite questions to Brian and I'll start with Omar. Omar had a question.
All right. I usually look up to Brian's panel discussions because they're either funny, controversial, or great. Let's give Brian a clap, man. Let's give Brian a clap. That was amazing. So one thing I know is that even though we are youth and even though we are the young people, I do understand that the non-youth, let me say not the old people, the people above 35 years of age, right? You find that they are also playing a big part in the upbringing of the youth, because I believe one of us had someone who brought us up to this point that we are, right? Yes. Brand was brought up by Total News, and Total is not owned by a youth, it's owned by someone who's a Gen something, Gen X. Gen X on the boomer, right? So maybe if I can pass these questions to you, Brian, to you, Harun, and the others, right? So what can we do as young people to ensure that we talk to these older people about how we can also lead? How can we prove ourselves to these people that we as the young people can also use these spaces to be able to explore different ideas and to be able to actually make change? Because I do believe that here in Kenya, for example, the Gen Z protests that were organized, I don't think anyone was forced to go to those Twitter spaces and say this and say that and throw this and throw that. All of us were actually looked up to join those Twitter spaces because I wanted to bring something out. So what can we do to ensure that we are talking to these older people about how we can also do this? Because sometimes as a young person, if you're invited to a space, you actually have to justify yourself of how smart you are, of how great you are for you to be able to fit into that space, you know? Like you have to either be very talkative, you have to either be very vocal, you have to either be, having from a rich family or something, for them to actually see that you're actually bringing some kind of change, right? So so that's my question to maybe all of you, or for all of you guys. So, and then the other question would be, we have the youth who are part of these countries, and I know we are not speaking about this, I don't really know why, but there are youth that are currently facing a lot of struggles. Let me talk about the youth who are in the war zones right now. We have different conflicts that are going on in the world, basically, and right here in Africa, Harun talked about the African heritage. We have the people from Congo who are currently suffering, the youth from Congo are currently suffering. We have the youth from Sudan who are currently going through, I don't even want to speak. We have people in Palestine. We have people in Hawaii. We have people in Haiti. What's happening? So how can we as young people use these spaces to be able to address this? I've seen a lot of content being created by the young people in Palestine right now. The reason as to why we are not seeing a lot of things from, let me say, Congo, for example, is because maybe they've not leveraged on digital content and they've not leveraged on creating content about what's happening. But the reason as to why I wake up every day and know that Del Arbala was bombed this morning in Palestine is because there's someone who actually took their phone and actually recorded and tried as much as possible to even get the internet to just post for us to be able to see. And they are doing that. What are we doing as young people? And maybe I can hear from you guys. I know you guys are experts in your different spaces. What are we doing as the young people from this end? In Kenya, maybe, let me say, in Kenya we have peace. Let me just say that we have peace, in a way, right? I know there are conflicts here and there, but we kind of have peace. What are we doing on this side? How are we helping our brothers and sisters in Congo? How are we helping our brothers and sisters in Sudan? So I think that would be my question for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Before they answer, I'd just like to share that we are 10 minutes past our time. I'll just request from our online participants as we continue with these discussions offline, kindly accord us 10 more minutes of your time so that we can wrap up and just hear the answer to Omar's question, if that's okay with everyone.
I think there's another question.
Okay, that's the last question, and then the rest we can continue with the space, if you please, yeah?
So hi everyone. So my name is Eric, and my question is almost in line, similar to Omar's, but mine is, how do you get the adults, the older adults, yeah? Because you find in such spaces, they're mostly the investors, they're mostly the donors, right? Brian talked about not being rigid when you're trying to create positive change, right? Because there's just something about flexibility, having your official account and having your spam account. But then you find that these donors or these bigger people, okay, would want to see that professional side of you, yeah? Would look at your spam side of you and be like, nah, that's not official, I don't want to invest in that, right? But then again, to what Brian said, positive, but being in a rigid way is kind of boring, right? I would talk about me, and so the work I do is I mentor young people when it comes to podcasting and stuff. And I remember there was this one time we were recording, yeah, and we had new people from school, and they were using scripts. And personally for me, I don't use scripts, yeah. And as we were continuing, you'd find that the host would be in a limited space because they couldn't express themselves. They had to go according to that script. So how do you get older people to like invest in the spam version of you, because you know it's gonna create a positive change? I know that's the most casual way I could put it. Yeah. How do you get older people to invest in the spam version of you, because that's how you create positive change, and that's how you engage young people basically. Yeah.
Thank you. Just 1 minute to answer to your question, and I'll add to what Harun, Brian, Beryl, Zonmira, and Mudassar were saying. It's joining the network. I'll tell you for fact, joining the GNRC Youth Network will help you get your projects and your ideas to the right persons, because as a network, as a global network, Arigato International has access to all those donors and all those, but you just need the right idea and the right project to get it to them. So you get that and let it be our work to get that project to those persons. I may be taking on more than I can chew. My boss will probably be mad at me, but we will get it there. We will get it. I am taking that as one of my commitments. If you give me that project, I'll make sure that it gets to the right person. If you come to me with that idea, I'll make sure I'll use all the resources available to me to get it out there. So I know you have a question, but before we take that question, I'd kindly request, let's wrap this up. We'll continue with this offline. We still have half a day with you. Let's release our online participants, if you may. Do I have your permission?
That's fine.
Okay.
You could acknowledge as you're giving the online participants we have from 7 different countries.
7 different countries? Thank you. Oh, that's wonderful. We have participants from 7 different countries. That's amazing. So I'll give it to Mitalee to help us close off.
Thank you so much for that. One thing we don't often talk about is who we truly are. And you raise a very important point, Brian, which is, and with all the other questions, is how can we get people to invest in who we really are and what we really want? So on that note, I'd like to, with your permission, try and get to know you better, and for everyone here to get to know you on a truly deeper level. I'd like to open with one question. If you would go back to school, what subject would you take that every young person at this meeting you think should take at that age? Who'd like to begin?
All right, so I'll actually just give us 2. That's fine, okay? Number 1, coding, bros. We're moving into a future where we're gonna need to develop our own software. At least do web design, man, so that you know how to design your own web pages. I've just learned that, and it's so cool, and it's so fun, and it's so easy. I wish I knew this earlier. It's a simple way to make money. Number 2, multiple languages. I tell you, Eric, to be honest, he speaks like, I think, 2 different French and English, yeah? Like, bro, that is the one thing I'm really jealous about for this firm. I want to learn French, learn multiple languages. I've been in platforms, I could have really connected with really important people, but because I don't speak French, I don't speak Arabic, I can't. You see that? Don't limit yourself, man. I wish I would have learned more languages, and actually coding is a language, so yeah, just more languages.
Okay, that is a good question. If I would go back to school, for the many people who are, still in school or have siblings who would go back to school, I think computer science and coding in that sense. I did computer as the only girl in the class of like 15 guys, and learning computer science, I mean, we're moving to a world where we are having like robots and AI and stuff like that. So invest in computer science and stuff like that. Yes.
Going back to school, is it primary, secondary,
That's part where you would have changed.
Okay, for me, I remember from term 2, I was forced to drop computer studies. Why? Because our computer teacher was transferred to the different schools, so I took on any other teacher. So if you're given opportunity to go back to school, first thing first after high school, I will do computer studies. Because I'm saying this because internet have transformed my life for good from the grassroots level to this level. Until now, I have a suit. Wow. At a university or college level, something I will do is about project planning and management. Why? Because the good thing of project planning and management, it cut crossing all different sectors. The medicine, the engineers, you must have this concept of the project planning and management. And that's why I decided to be a consultant, because even if you're a doctor with not this background of the project planning and management, you won't do anything. So that's for me, because it's cut crossing all different professionals. Thank you.
Can the audience answer?
Yes, I would like to also open this up to the audience as well as the online audience. If you could also put your contributions in the chat, or if you could raise your hand and we will give you the floor. We have someone